Okay, Amma, we are live. Okay.
Namaste everyone. We welcome you all to the Satsang today. Firstly, we will start with salutations to Holy Trio, Bhagwan Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Shri Sharada, and Srimat Swami Vivekananda. Our Shashtanga pranams at the lotus feet of our Gurudev, Srimat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. Hearty welcome to the Satsang today. Guru Smaran is being held in fond remembrance of our Raviyat Ranganathanji Maharaj's 113th birth anniversary. We can be seated comfortably, light a lamp or an incense if possible. We would begin with the speaker session at 10:30 a.m. Just give me a second, some technical. Yes. Yeah, we will begin with the speaker session at 10:30 a.m. But we will begin the satsang with Guru Bhajans led by Raviyat Swami Tadyuktananji Maharaj, who represents a very unique parampara in our Sangha. The bhajans will go on till 10:25 a.m. So may I request Maharaj to spotlight on Tadyuktananji Maharaj and the group joining us from Boys Home, Bengaluru. We would like to say a few words of introduction about Maharajji also. Inspired, Pranam Maharaj, Pranam, Namaste everyone, Pranam. Inspired by the life of the Holy Trio, Swami Tadyuktananji Maharaj took up to monastic life under the guidance of most revered Swami Purushothamananji Maharaj at Ponnarpet Ashram. He took Mantra Diksha at Bengaluru Center. He was a member of a Vivekananda Yuvaka Sangha at that point. Took Brahmacharya Diksha in 2001 and received Sannyasa Diksha in 2005. Swamiji was in Belgaum Fort for many years and is now in Bengaluru Students' Home. We welcome you, Maharaj, and in spite of your health and not so good throat condition, now we request everybody to participate in the Guru Bhajan led by Maharaj.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Deva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Akhanda Mandalakaram व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अनेक जन्म संप्राप्त कर्म बंध विदाहिने आत्मज्ञान प्रदानेन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। मन्नाथ श्री जगन्नाथ मद्गुरु श्री जगद्गुरुः ममात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् भवातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। ಈ ನಾಮಾವಳಿ on Guru. Whoever can follow, you can join. गुरु हमारे मन मंदिर में गुरु हमारे मन मंदिर में गुरु हमारे प्यार गुरु हमारे मन मंदिर में हमारे मन मंदिर में गुरु हमारे प्यार गुरु हमारे प्यार सारे विश्व का वो है दाता नारायण भगवान सारे विश्व का वो है दाता नारायण भगवान ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव 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 गुरु हमारे तन मन मन है गुरु हमारे तन मन सब है गुरु हमारे तन मन सब है हमारे तन मन सब है गुरु हमारे प्राण गुरु हमारे तन मन सब है, गुरु हमारे प्राण। गुरु हमारे तन मन सब है, गुरु हमारे प्राण। ज्ञान भक्ति का वो है दाता, नारायण भगवान। ज्ञान भक्ति का वो है दाता, नारायण भगवान। ज्ञान भक्ति का वो है दाता, नारायण भगवान।
ज्ञान भक्ति का वो है दाता, नारायण भगवान।
ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव, 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 ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव। गुरु हमारे धन दौलत है, गुरु हमारे धन दौलत है, गुरु हमारे प्यार। गुरु हमारे धन दौलत है, गुरु हमारे प्यार। सारे विश्व का ज्ञान प्रदाता, नारायण भगवान।
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 ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव, 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 ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव। नमन करो मैं गुरु चरण, भवभय हरण वंदित चरण, तरण प्रणत जन सुशरण। I bow down at the blessed feet of the Guru, the feet that remove all fear of bondage, take away all impurities, bestow all real happiness, spread fearlessness, and uplift the world. The feet that destroy all sins. नमन करो मैं गुरु चरण, नमन करो मैं गुरु चरणा, नमन करो मैं गुरु चरणा। भव भय हरणा वंदित चरणा, भव भय हरणा वंदित चरणा, भव भय हरणा वंदित चरणा, भव भय हरणा वंदित चरणा। तरण प्रणत जन सुशरणा, तरण प्रणत जन सुशरणा, तरण प्रणत जन सुशरणा, तरण प्रणत जन सुशरणा। नमन करो मैं गुरु चरणा, नमन करो मैं गुरु चरणा। कलिमल हरणा सब सुख कारण, कलिमल हरणा सब सुख कारण, अभय वितरण जगदुद्धरण, अभय वितरण जगदुद्धरण, अभय वितरण जगदुद्धरण, अभय वितरण जगदुद्धरण। पातक हरण गुरु चरण, पातक हरण गुरु चरण, पातक धरण गुरु चरण। नमन करो मैं गुरु चरणा, नमन करो मैं गुरु चरणा, नमन करो मैं, नमन करो मैं, नमन करो मैं गुरु चरणा। Namavali on Thakur, Ma and Swamiji. You can follow. Shri Rama Krishna Mangalakari,
Shri Rama Krishna Mangalakari,
Shri Rama Krishna Mangalakari, नमो नारायण भवदुःखहारी, नमो नारायण भवदुःखहारी, नरेंद्र सेवित जीवहितकारी, नरेंद्र सेवित जीवहितकारी, शारद पूजित भुवन विहारी, शारद पूजित भुवन विहारी, शरणागत जन रक्षणकारी, ಶರಣಾಗತ ಜನ ರಕ್ಷಣಕಾರಿ
ಶರಣಾಗತ ಜನ ರಕ್ಷಣಕಾರಿ
ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಭವದುಃಖಹಾರಿ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಭವದುಃಖಹಾರಿ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಂಗಲಕಾರಿ
ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಂಗಳಕಾರಿ
ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಂಗಲಕಾರಿ
ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಂಗಳಕಾರಿ
ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಭವದುಃಖಹಾರಿ
ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ
ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಭವದುಃಖಹಾರಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಸೇವಿತ ಜೀವಹಿತಕಾರಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಸೇವಿತ ಜೀವಹಿತಕಾರಿ ಶಾರದ ಪೂಜಿತ ಭುವನ ವಿಹಾರಿ ಶಾರದ ಪೂಜಿತ ಭುವನ ವಿಹಾರಿ ಶರಣಾಗತ ಜನ ರಕ್ಷಣಕಾರಿ ಶರಣಾಗತ ಜನ ರಕ್ಷಣಕಾರಿ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಭವದುಃಖಹಾರಿ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಭವದುಃಖಹಾರಿ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಜಯ ಜಯ 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 With this, we offer these prayers at the lotus feet of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Sharda Devi, and Swami Vivekananda, and also our Guru, Param Pujya Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. Jai Ramakrishna.
Maharaj, is there a final prayer mantra, or we can move to the next program? I'm requesting Swami Sudhidanji Maharaj to confirm if the bhajan has been concluded.
It's concluded, Amma. We can start.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Okay. I think it was not enough for us to and wanted to still continue. Thank you so much. We do not have enough words to express the joy at the moment. We are very grateful for your presence today and thank all the members for creating such a meditative atmosphere. We will start the speaker session by lighting of the lamp. Can we put the spotlight on Krishna Gadi Amma's tomb in Delhi? Confusion.
Hariom Nidhi, it is Vipul Dilli Prant, not Krishna Gadi.
That is our devotee.
I'm not finding Vipul.
Thank you, Shri.
Krishna Gadi is there.
Vipul Dilli Prantah.
He has some other name, Amma. Just confirm. Vipul Dilli Prant. There is no name like that here.
In Hindi, you will see the name in Hindi. Yes.
Okay. Fine, Amma.
We would like to see fine. Yes, that beautiful shrine, dear devotees, we are seeing is of our very respected and dear Krishna Gadi Ma, an ardent devotee of the Holy Trio from New Delhi. Maji has hosted many joyful and vibrant satsangs in our house, which has been blessed by many senior monks. Namaste, Maji. You may now please light the lamp as a formal mark of start of the speaker session today. Hari Om. Thank you very much. Namaste. I once again offer my Manasa Shashtanga Pranams at the Holy Trio, our gurus of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission of our own Sangha, and to our revered Srimad Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. My name is Nidhi, and it is indeed a blessing for me to host the satsang on behalf of Premji from Hyderabad today. Our humble pranams to all the revered Swamijis who have joined us accepting the invite to be a part of the satsang and blesses. All of us have a very special relationship with our Guru, and nourish wonderful moments of joy and bliss. May this satsang remain a blissful experience for one and all is our sincere prayer. Let us welcome the first speaker today, Raviyat Swami Nityastanandaji Maharaj from Bengaluru. Pranam Maharaj. Pranam. Namaste. Would like to say a few words as an introduction for everybody to know our speaker. Maharaji is the first editor of Kannada monthly Viveka Prabha, published from Ramakrishna Ashrama, Mysuru. He has written several books in Kannada and translated some books from English and Bengali as well. Many of his English articles are published in Prabuddha Bharata, Vedanta Kesari, and other magazines. Presently, Maharaj is the head of Ramakrishna Mat Basavanagudi, Bengaluru. Thank you, Maharaj, for accepting the invite and being a part of this satsang today. May we now request you to deliver the message. Thank you.
Namaste. Namaste. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatara varisthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. At the outset, I offer my reverential pranams to revered Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj and respected Swamijis and dear friends. It is indeed impossible to think of Ranganathanji Maharaj or speak about him without being overwhelmed by his colossus personality. There are several aspects of his personality which speaks volumes about his greatness. I here highlight some of his aspects of his personality, very few aspects of his personality. First of all, his legendary scholarship. He was a great scholar, no doubt, but his scholarship was not confined to only the texts of the books. He has in-depth study of our own scriptures, and also he had wide knowledge of, in-depth knowledge of so many other areas of knowledge: science, history, philosophy, psychology, and whatnot. And his scholarship was not text-bound. I mean, he was able to go deep into the matter, discern inner meaning of the texts, scriptural texts, and interpret it according to the modern context, as well as relating to the modern scientific development. This is one of the great contribution of Swami Ranganathanji. His insight was so deep that he was able to bring out the hidden meaning of the scriptures and apply it to the modern context and practical day-to-day life. That is a most important point we have to note in his personality and his writings and speech. And of course, he was following Swami Vivekananda's footsteps in this regard. And he was a great orator, no doubt. And his oratory is not confined to only the highlighting certain points, but it was penetrating to the hearts of the people. That is most important. Hearts of the people. You could hear to him spellbound. He was a very simple speaker. He was not a great, you can't say he was a eloquent speaker and all that. It was very simple way he used to speak, but it is so attractive, so spellbound. That is a most important aspect. That is because It was something, it's not just a words, his personality would speak through his words. That is most important. That is how it is appealing. It is so appealing to us. So that is one of the aspects of his personality. Another important aspect of personality is his spirituality. Though he was a great scholar, his scholarship is not so dry. He's not a dry scholar. He was deeply spiritual at the same time. But his spirituality is not restrained to practices, certain practices, religious practices or spiritual practices blindly or mechanically. He has two phrases. He was very fond of these two phrases. One is a static piety, another is dynamic spirituality. He followed the dynamic spirituality. Static piety means he's only blindly following certain spiritual practices or religious practices without having any concern for the society, without any having social dimension. So that means he's only a person who follows this one, he's only confined to himself only, his own selfish motivations. But he cannot develop any social dimension, and not only that, he's not even concerned about his own spiritual development. So that is not, he was not for such a practices. He was always stood for the dynamic spirituality. The spirituality must reflect in his action, in his words, in his behavior, and in his great social concern for suffering humanity, people who are suffering. So that is why he was spiritual in a real sense. In a real sense means he was deeply devoted to God, as well as he has a great concern for the society. There is one particular verse in Bhagavata he was very fond of. Very often he quotes in his speeches. Athamam sarvabhuteshu bhutatmanam kratalayam arhaye danamanabhyam maitriya bhinnena chakshusha. This particular verse reflects his spirituality. What is the meaning of this sloka? Is Athamam sarvabhuteshu bhutatmanam kratalayam. So God says, Sri Krishna says, I am residing in every being, making every being as my abode, kritalayam, abode. And one has to worship me in them. How to worship? Not through incense sticks or sandal paste or garlands, etc. Arhed dana mana bhyam. Dana mana, helping others according to his own need. Helping others, dana, that is helping others. And how to help? Not with a condescending attitude, but with great respect, great love and respect. Dana mana bhyam, arhaye dana mana bhyam. And also maitriya, with great friendliness, abhinnena chakshusha, without any discrimination, distinction, considering everyone as his own. That is how one has to serve the others, serve people, serve the society. So this is the kind of spirituality Swami Ranganathanji followed. And we read in the Bhagavad-Gita about the characteristics of the spiritual man. The Sthita Prajna, the man of study wisdom. All the characteristics of a Sthita Prajna, a study wisdom, man of study wisdom, can be found exemplified in Swami Ranganathanji's life and personality. So that indicates, that reflects his spirituality actually. I quote one particular incident to illustrate this point. And when he was in Karachi Ashrama, that was when he was in Karachi Ashrama, there used to come one Parsi young man, Feroz, by name Feroz. Every day he used to come, it seems. And he has close acquaintance with all the other Swamis also, and closely associated with Ranganathanji also. At that time, Ranganathanji was the head of the center. It was before the partition of India. And this gentleman, one day he came, somehow, they don't know what is the reason behind it. He started reproaching Ranganathanji with strong terms, with abusive language. He went on abusing him, went on reproaching him. But Ranganathanji kept quite calm, with a smiling face, without uttering any word. He went on listening to it like that, without being perturbed in any way. After some time, that young man apologized to him for such a rude behavior, uncouth behavior. Why it happened, he himself did not know. Some emotional outburst was there. It was some hidden emotion, strong emotion, negative emotion must have been kept suppressed, repressed in his mind, that came out as a volcanic erupt. That is but Ranganathanji was not at all perturbed. He remained quiet. This is steadiness. Though he was very dynamic and strong outward, inward, he was always collected and composed, calm and quiet. This is the real spirituality. Ranganathanji followed this kind of spirituality. It is not that he was always, going to the tapasya, to Himalaya and forest or something like that. He was not of the type. Every work is a worship for him. Every work is a spiritual practice for him. Karma yoga. This is the karma yoga. Karma yoga, this was his spirituality. So this is one of the important aspects of his personality. Another very important thing one has to imbibe in his life was, though he was such a great scholar, great orator, in spite of all his talents and capacities, all these things, he was deeply human by nature. He could be at ease with great personality, world-renowned personalities like Jawaharlal Nehru or Radhakrishnan or Aldous Huxley or something, Julian Huxley and all such things. In spite of that, he would be able to mix with the most common persons on the street. In the servants also, he was so friendly with them. He would talk to them as if he is equal to him, respecting him equally. This is a most important aspect of his personality. That is how he always used to like one particular. He was also fond of another phrase, that Godward passion and manward love. This is another phrase he was very fond of. There must be deep love for God and passion for God, faith, great faith, deep faith, strong faith in God. At the same time, one must be able to love humanity, love everyone. It is not possible to love one and hate others. If real, genuine love is there for God, it must reflect in the love of man also. This is the philosophy of Ranganathanji. So that is why he always used to emphasize this one: Godward passion and manward love. If that is there, this also must be there. This is how he lived. I here quote one particular incident. It is related to one postman who used to deliver the posts to the ashrama. I read out that particular incident as related by the postman himself. It is a very touching incident. You see, I used to work as a postman and brought the daily mail to this ashrama in the 1960s. When that Swami, he is referring to Swami Ranganathanji, when that Swami was in charge, there used to be then a lot of crowd all the time. During summer, it used to be very hot, and I used to come sweating all over, carrying the mail in my hands. Whenever the Swami happened to be here at the time of my mail delivery, the first thing he used to do was to call me affectionately inside the office, make me sit under the fan and switch it on. Then he would ask someone from the kitchen to bring a glass of lassi, that is buttermilk shake, for me. He made it sure that I drink it. He would say, after having the lassi, stay for a few minutes under the fan and then proceed to do your work. Sometimes I did not even say thank to him. But I always received such a great warmth, affection, and kindness from him, which I have never got from my own family members. As the years roll on, and as I am getting old, I would say, no doubt, I have not seen God, but in him I have seen a God-man. As he narrated this incident, he was shedding tears. So this is how Ranganathanji loved humanity. He was, for him, the worship of God and love of humanity are not two different things. Work is itself is worship for him. This is how he lived. This is another important aspect of his personality. I am very happy to participate in this webinar and speak few words about the great personality of Swami Ranganathanji. I am very happy to speak about him, and I have got some association with him, not a very intimate association, because when I was in Mysore, he used to come there, and he would narrate so many old incidents when he was in Mysore, what happened when he was in Mysore. So that is how we enjoyed his company whenever he was there in Mysore. And also I used to be with him during initiation also. During initiation, he used to create a very strong spiritual vibration in the prayer hall where he used to initiate the devotees. There is one thing I felt very elevating. I used to be, he was to speak in English, and I used to translate into Kannada, whatever he spoke. Even during the initiation also, when he was giving the mantra to the devotees, I used to be there. He would allow me to remain there. He would not allow me to go there. And afterwards, when the mantra was uttered, and he was devotees used to make them to repeat the mantras what he has given. During that time also I used to be there. It was very, very elevating experience to me because of his personality. So I am very happy to speak few words about him, and thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Please accept our pranams.
Namaste.
You've shared all facets of such a magnificent personality. Maharaj, thank you so much. Thank you. We now welcome the second speaker for the day, Raviyat Swami Satyalokananji Maharaj, who is joining us from Singapore Center.
Shall I start?
Namaste, Maharaj. I will
Yeah.
say a few words of introduction.
Yeah.
Just for everybody to know a little bit. Born in Japan, it was in the year 1974, when as a student at Osaka University, Maharaj learned about the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. And he then became a member of Nippon Vedanta Society, which was in Osaka. Maharaji joined the Ramakrishna order at Belur Math in the year 1976. Very well known to us as Partha Maharaj. Maharaj received a sannyasa in the year 1985 and continue to serve the Hyderabad Center in the School of Languages, in the library, and most importantly, as a secretary to Raviyat Srimat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj until the year 1996. Swamiji was briefly at Advaita Ashrama as a proofreader for an year before moving to Ramakrishna Mission Center in Singapore in the year 1998. Swamiji is presently the vice president of the mission and manages a beautiful kindergarten, which is one of the best kindergartens in Singapore with about 500 children. Maharaj, welcome and thank you for accepting the invitation. We now request you to share your words with your.
Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharma svarupine avatara varishtaya Rama Krishnaya te namaha. Respected Swamijis, Brahmacharis, and dear devotees, I am very grateful for this invitation to speak something on this memorable day of Raviyat Ranganathanandaji's birthday. Previously, I was also invited, but I was a bit hesitant. The reason was, in our order, we do not encourage the group cult. So I declined, but later the talks, previous year's talks, I could hear, and then I thought, oh, it was a really good satsang. So we all are devotees of Ramakrishna, but some people can mix with some sadhus, not all the sadhus, especially president. There's a very rare opportunities there to mix with president. Even myself, I have received the initiation from Swami Vireshwaranandaji. My mixing with Swamiji was very, very less. But fortunately, during the training center, I had a very nice privilege also. So those who have really mixed with Ranganathanandaji are really blessed. So those memories, yes, I can share. Actually, I have already written the essence of what I have learned in the Monk Without Frontier, the Swami Ranganathanandaji's memoirs by many Swamis and devotees. So today, what I share may be a bit repetitive, but something new also there. And then I would like to be more informal. As Ranganathanandaji loved informal. Formality he didn't like. So always he was informal. Especially when we think of Maharaj, we feel joyous. Whenever Ranganathananda name I hear, immediately his smiling face appears. And then my memory of Hyderabad. Various memories are there. But many of you haven't experienced was the joy in the dining hall. Breakfast, lunch, and then dinner. All the sadhus, we had to come. That was a rule. Ranganathanandaji was very much particular. Nobody should be late. And then that was the most joyous occasion. We had a very good team of Swamis and Brahmacharis. And then we used to discuss. We used to hear lots of stories from Ranganathanandaji and also other Swamis. And then laughter was always there. Then sometimes we had the dignitaries like Dalai Lama or Supreme Court judges or professors of university, or union ministers, the business leaders. So many people used to join. And then we are so natural to receive them and talk with them. So the Hyderabad ashrams, when Ranganathananda was there, it was really joyous, festivity. So he used to be out of Hyderabad, maybe 6 months of the year. So when he was not there, we used to miss him a lot. When I read Latu Maharaj's life, Latu Maharaj missed when Thakur was not there. When Thakur went to Kamarpukur, he felt so lonely. The similar sentiment we had when Maharaj comes back is a festivity. That kind of this power, charm, this Maharaj had and created. So these are this Maharajas. Now, I just want to tell a few things about quite important. Staying with him, I have learned that those who have taken initiation must have led in the Upasana. Swami stressed the importance of silence. Yogasya pratamandwaran vanirodho. He quotes from the Viveka Chudamani and then stresses the importance of silence. One senior Swamiji, when Ranganathanji became vice president and then prepared the Upasana book, they wanted to see. And then he told me, oh, what a surprise. Swamiji is mentioning the silence. He is the one who spoke most, was his reaction, but he stresses silence. Yes, Swamiji, wherever he was invited, he had to speak. And he had to mix with people. Constantly he was speaking. But on Monday, on Sunday generally, his speech was there. But on Monday, he used to observe silence. Then, once in a year, if possible, he used to go to Kankal or Sevashram. There, he used to maintain the Mona Vrata. He used to observe. By this, we can easily understand how much he felt the importance of silence. Through silence, we can acquire many things, especially spiritual strength will come. The speech will waste away our energy. Though Maharaj spoke so much, but he knew. So he never wasted in unnecessary talk. His routine was quite fixed. And then most of the time he was confined in his room, either reading or writing. When he reads, tremendous concentration. His power of absorption is tremendous. The photographic memory, we call it. He doesn't realize whatever going on outside. So this importance of silence, Maharaj knew. So this we also should practice. Don't waste. He used to tell, I don't like adda. This is a Bengali adda. This, he says, this is a Bengali adda is what you call chit chat. It's a group of people, like-minded people gather and then converse. And then what is adda? Paraninda, yeah? Criticizing others. So don't waste time. Huh? More constructive way, you utilize your time. So that is one of the important point Maharaj has, Maharaj had, or Maharaj stressed. Another thing, this many people know, Maharaj has the tremendous compassion. And I have spoken, or I've written somewhere, but I haven't written this in the Monk Without Frontier. So just I want to say this one. This was happened when Maharashtra earthquake was happened. Mission did the primary this relief, then decided to build many houses. And then Swamiji was always in touch with the relief work. Sometimes Bombay Swami, who recently passed away, Vagishanandaji used to come along with the relief in charge, Prakash Maharaj. Now I believe he's in Allahabad. Oh no, sorry, Aurangabad. So Maharaj was very keen what is going on. That was Maharaj's trait, especially he was in Andhra. So we did the biggest relief work in Divisima area when 1978, I think, 77, 78, cyclone attacked. Swamiji visited so many times. And then he was very much concerned with the welfare of people. So also this Maharashtra earthquake. Now he had the house they are building for the affected people did not have toilet. Maharaj was very much upset. And then he dictated me, you write to the headquarters. So he dictated me to write, now we should have a toilet for each house. Imagine when the rain comes or at night, how they manage, how they reply, call of nature. Suppose, see, you are suffering from some disease, stomach trouble, diarrhea. How you manage? Think of mothers and sisters. If you do not build a toilet, I will weep. If necessary, I shall try to collect the necessary funds. So please build a toilet to each house. When he said this, I was really touched by his so deep affection, deep concern, compassion, empathy for the others. This was Maharaj. So till end, just before death, he was concerned about the welfare of the poor. So this was Maharaj's attitude, which really we can learn and we can practice. Then, about money. Once, one of our Swamis received a big amount as a pranami. It was such a huge amount. Our headquarters was very much worried and then asked Ranganathanandaji to talk with him. So Maharaj said, okay, I shall talk with him. Then Maharaj met the Swamiji and they started talking. I have heard that you got a huge money. What will you do? The Swami replied, yes, I can go to all over the world with tour. Why not? Etc., etc., he told. Then Maharaj thought, no, Maharaj, you cannot digest this amount. But I can digest. You give me. And very interestingly, the Swami gave to Ranganathananda the money. So, as he said, he could digest money. He knew how to utilize the money. In his acceptance speech in the Indira Gandhi National Integration Award, he mentions that we receive the crores of rupees and spend it. Literally true. He was one of the Swamis received the maximum amount of the donation as pranami, and then spent it for the welfare of people. Hundreds of people used to write to him. Many of the institutions, not only our institutions, used to write to him for the appeal of money, fund. And Maharaj, whatever he could, he would distribute. That was his greatness. No attachment. Money is meant for to be used. One industrialist donated a huge amount of money, and he said, he actually praised, yes, you know how to earn money. Yes, give me whatever you can. I know how to use it. That was a Maharaj attitude. So, in this regard, you see, not only money, this passion was tremendous. I think this, when I went to last Hyderabad was 2008, the centenary celebration of Ranganathananda. After many years, I visited Hyderabad. So, and then when I entered the temple, I was literally shocked. Because of the Thakur's image was very much dwarfed by the supporting this canopy pillars. When Ranganathanji built the temple, he was very much particular. When the devotees comes in the temple, they should only see the Thakur. Concentrate only Sri Ramakrishna. So it was very simple. But Thakur's, he was shining. The murti was made with Sapta Dhatu. Maharaj was very much particular about. So far, no Sri Ramakrishna's murti was made by Sapta Dhatu. And this is a traditional, especially in South India. And then one fear of the marble statue. First, he thought the marble statue also. Marble statue nowadays, after some years, stains appear in the face or body. That also one of his considerations made a Sapta Dhatu. And then as simple as possible. But I was literally shocked. Then I came to know the museum, the Ramakrishna Museum, which Maharaj built with love and care, was no more. He was very much fond of this museum. And he invited Calcutta artists, headed by the Raghunath Goswami, to come to Hyderabad and then make. And it was a really wonderful museum. Then I thought, if Maharaj now sees the present condition of Hyderabad, what will be his thought? Then immediately I remembered the Karachi incident. As you know, Maharaj was in Karachi for many years, and then from the small ashram, it became the very populous, very famous. Every Sunday, 500 people used to gather for his talk. It became one of the most well-known centers. But because of partition, the ashram activity became almost this standstill. Then while he was away in Calcutta, the ashram was looted. The remaining Swamis, especially Swamis, Sarvagatanandaji, who was in Boston, the Ranganathanji assistant, the favorite assistant, he was there. Swami Mukhyanandaji was there. Swami Bhavyanandaji, who was in London, was also there. They were weeping the condition of the ashram after the looting. With so much care, the ashram was built, but completely destroyed. Then Ranganathanji came and saw the ashram. This Sarvagatanandaji reminisces, seeing the destroyed ashram, others were weeping, but Ranganathanji started laughing. Can you imagine? Your own sweet home was destroyed by hooligans, but you could laugh away. He must have thought, this is also the Maya's play. Then, if he had seen the present day of Hyderabad ashram, which he had his own beautiful idea and built and changed, he would laugh. Oh yes, this passion is required. Mahakala, swallowing everything, change, change, change. So this is the story. I don't know this, still I can go on this. I think almost, this I have taken lots of time. What do you say, Nidhi?
Yes, Maharaj, if you could conclude probably.
Okay, right. So luckily, we have many books left by Swamiji, and also audio tapes, video tapes. Please read. I now and then read, and I get so much inspiration and admire his depth, his insight, his keen observations. Everybody will be enriched by his speech, books, and then these videotapes. With these, I conclude, especially with his favorite Sloka from Viveka Chudamani, I ends. And I believe Swamiji strived to be like this, and he has attained this. Nirdanopi sadat shtaha asahayo mahabaraha nityatriptoti abunjanopi asama samadanashiraha. Though without wealth, he is ever content. Though without help, he is very powerful. Though he does not enjoy sense object, he is eternally content. And though without an equal, he sees equal. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. It is never enough when we sit down and talk about this. But thank you so much for sharing those inner moments that you had with Maharaj. The meaning was profound. It does require a lot of maturity from each one of us to understand the message that Maharaj had in his life. Thank you so much once again for joining us. We now welcome our next speaker for the day, Raviyat Swami Bodhmayananji Maharaj, Director of Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence, Hyderabad Math. Maharaj felt that his introduction does not require in this audience, but I would like to say a few words, please. Inspired by the teachings of Holy Trio during his school days, Swamiji joined the Bengaluru Ashrama in 1984 and served in the RK mission Vizag and Chennai Math before joining Hyderabad in 2010. As a director of VIHE now, the seed which was sown by our Gurudev himself, Swamiji has capsulated and executed many personality development programs like Swami Vivekananda, Yuva Jagruti Vedika, Building a Resurgent India, and conducted thousands of programs nationwide covering lakhs of youth, students, and professionals from all walks of life. We welcome you, Maharaj, and request you to share your words of wisdom. Thank you.
Om Yatha Daahika Shakti Ramakrishne Stita Hiya Sarva Vidya Swarupam Tam Sharadam Pranamamyaham Aneka Janma Sampraptaha Karma Bandha Vidahine Atmagnana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. My pranams to Raviyat Swami Nityasthanji Maharaj, to Raviyat Swami Satyalokanandaji Maharaj. My namaskars, greetings to all other brother monks and devotees who have joined from all over the country in the Ramakrishna Vivekananda tradition, and some of you who are initiated by Raviyat Srimat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj when he was the vice president or when he was the president of the Ramakrishna order. So a very sacred occasion today, the 15th of December every year is like a festival, is like a satsangam of Raviyat Maharaj's life, teachings, personality, and what all of us can do, should do, and must do for one's spiritual life and one's service to the Ramakrishna Math and mission and the philosophy, the message of the Holy Trinity. So as you have heard from Raviyat Nityasthanji Maharaj and Satyalokanji, the different facets, the different approaches of Maharaj towards the traditions, towards the life, towards the service. He was always fond of, apart from the Bhagavatam and Viveka Chudamani, the Upanishadic teaching, which Swami Vivekananda referred to in the Chicago Parliament on September 19th. Shanvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha Aye Dhamani Divyani Tastuhu Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Aditya Varnam Tamasaf Parastat Tameva Viditva Atimrutyumeti Nanyaf Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. They set into beautiful music by a group of young singers from Bengaluru, which we had conducted a program in Hyderabad Math in 2014. I would play that video now for just 2-3 minutes and then explain that because that was very clear in Maharaj's idea, in his lectures, in his message. The whole world should listen to this message of the potential divinity and children of immortal bliss, Amritasya Putra. So here is that small stotra for couple of minutes.
Amritasya Putra Aye Dhamani Divyani
not till the goal is reached.
उत्तिष्ठत जाग्रत प्राप्य वरान् निबोधन.
Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached.
उत्तिष्ठत जाग्रत प्राप्य वरान् निबोधन.
Yes, Shrunvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha. Hear, O children of immortal bliss. Even the gods who are in the high spheres, come and listen to me. Aye dhamani divyani tastuhu. Why should we listen to you? Vedahametam purusham mahantam. I have realized that cosmic being. I have understood that cosmic being. Aditya varnam tamasaf parasthat. Darkness is dispelled the moment the sun rises. Tameva viditva atimrutyameti. By realizing the truth, that immortality, you can conquer death, can cross over death. Nanyaf pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other path other than this. Follow me, was the great sage's call. And then the last line, the famous line, which all of you know, all of us know, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapyavara Nibodhata, freely translated by Swami Vivekananda himself. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. So this passage, in almost every lecture, every speech, all over the world, all over the country, Ranganathanji used to quote this and mention that this message should be spread all over the world to every nook and corner, whether he is a sweeper, whether he is the prime minister, whether he is the CEO, whether he is the IT, whether he is a doctor, a tailor, an engineer. Amritasya putraha. The spark of divinity is within you, in everybody. But we have to follow the system, follow the methodology, follow the process. And the applications which earlier two senior Swamijis were speaking, how he applied those teachings of potential divinity, of seeing the divinity not only in oneself and in the world outside, as Sri Ramakrishna said, if I can be able to see mother with eyes closed, I should be able to see mother with eyes opened also. I remember one incident when I was a young volunteer in Bengaluru, and we were serving the devotees and who were coming to Raviyat Maharaja's lectures, thousands and thousands. One day, just after the lecture, about 6:40, 6:45, the Arati in Bengaluru Ashrama is at 7 o'clock. And then the lecture stops, the speech stops at 6:45, enabling the devotees to reach the temple and meditate and get ready for the Arati. Then there was a load shedding, pitch darkness everywhere within a second. All the 2,000, 3,000 devotees were just standing. And the senior volunteers and others who were present around, they brought gas lanterns, pumped gas into that and made it so bright, and 2 or 3 lanterns were brought so that Revered Ranganathanji would go back to his quarters, go back to his room. But lo and behold, Maharaj said, no, I am going to stay here. I am going to stand or sit here, but you utilize the lanterns for the elderly devotees who are stranded, who are sitting, or who are not able to see properly. They will fall down as they climb down the steps. They will not be able to go home, or they will not be able to go to the temple. He refused to use that. He sat in a chair near the stage, waited till the current comes back, but the lanterns were used for the devotees so that they can easily, comfortably go to the car or to the temple. We could see the manifestation of the divinity already in man being shown by Ranganathanji. See God there, see the necessity there, use your presence of mind, etc. That is how we have to practice, we have to implement Revered Ranganathanji's teachings, which were directly from the books of Sri Ramakrishna, from the life and teachings of Holy Mother and Swami Vivekananda. So it is up to us for implementation and application of Raviyat Maharaja's teachings. Couple of them I shall show a slide and read out to you what exactly his work philosophy was, what exactly that dynamic spirituality was, what is that philosophy of divinity in man or children of immortal bliss was. And when I was in Hyderabad as a brahmachari, one day there was a news that a Nobel Prize scientist from Pakistan by name Dr. Abdul Salam would come and visit Maharaj, say about 11:30 or 12. Maharaj said it is a very wonderful opportunity to meet such people. They are welcome. And the message came from the Birla Planetarium nearby. And Maharaj waited 11:30, 11:45, 12 o'clock. And the message kept on coming that he is on the way, that he is held up in a meeting, but he will definitely come. As you heard from Satyalokanandaji that lunchtime in the mutt is at 12:30, and Maharaj generally walks in at 12:30, 12:31. He sits in his place of lunch and have his lunch along with the other monks and brahmacharis. But that day he said, I will have my lunch little later. 12:45, 1 o'clock. Still the scientist's presence was not known, whether he will come or not. But he said, I'm going to come. We completed our lunch. He did not allow us to fast, allow us to postpone. But then the scientist finally turned up at 1:45. Came at 1:45. He came to Maharaja's room. Maharaj just had a little water maybe. Then the discussion went on for another 45 minutes. That means he waited for the respected guest, a Nobel Prize winner in research in physics or something. And then at 2:30, he had his lunch that day. And we asked him, how could he manage? He said, knowledge removes all physical discomforts. When you have higher knowledge, higher purpose, whether it is anything, you'll be able to face it. You'll be able to overcome it. Knowledge first, the other things later. This is a great lesson which we learned as young brahmacharis, novices in the company of Raviyat Swami Ranganathanji. And a beautiful quotation which he used to refer in his lectures is from the 5th volume of the complete works, the letters of Swamiji. Said there are many things to be done, but means are wanting in this country. We have brains but no hands. We have the doctrine of Vedanta, but we have not the power to reduce it into practice. In our books, there is the doctrine of universal equality, but in work, we make great distinctions. It was in India that unselfish and disinterested work of the most exalted type was preached. But in practice, we are awfully cruel, awfully heartless, unable to think of anything besides our own mass of flesh bodies. I too believe that India will awake again if anyone could love with all his heart the people of the country, bereft of the grace of affluence of blasted fortune, the discretion totally lost, downtrodden, ever starved, quarrelsome and envious. Then only will India awake when hundreds of large-hearted men and women, giving up all desires of enjoying the luxuries of life, will long and exert themselves to their utmost for the well-being of the millions of their countrymen who are gradually sinking lower and lower in the vortex of destitution and ignorance. This is Swamiji's call for rebuilding the nation, which we heard as students, as inmates of the Ramakrishna Math and Mission, and continue to listen through Ranganathanji's recordings and books, how we have to sacrifice our personal interest for the welfare of this nation. So with that idea, he had the sankalpam, he had the fulfillment during his own lifetime to inaugurate and start the ball rolling of the Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence. In Hyderabad, we have got the School of Languages and then the Institute of Human Excellence, apart from the publications, the temple and the bookstalls and health center. But Swamiji's idea was a training center full-time, concentrating, focusing on the youth of India, from the school child till the postgraduate. The professionals, the teachers, the parents, they should be able to come to the mutt, attend the classes, attend the training sessions, nearly 26, 30 topics rolled out week after week. That was his plan, that was his brainchild. And by the grace of the Holy Trinity, and by the blessings of Raviyat Maharaj, I'm working out the solutions to the problems of the society based on Maharaja's teachings. It is my seva, it is my great opportunity to be in this institute in Hyderabad. And what we found when he was alive, when he was physically present, was that he was Sri Ramakrishna inside and Swamiji outside. What a wonderful time that we had when he used to come to the temple, and later on when we used to see him in different centers, visiting, inspiring, initiating. The love that he had for Sri Ramakrishna is, people do not understand this, say he is another Vivekananda and modern Vivekananda, things like that. But lo and that Sri Ramakrishna Bhava was immense in him, was so vast in him, so deep in him. But the external manifestation was Swamiji. Now that is how people are inspired by Sri Ramakrishna Vivekananda philosophy through Swami Ranganathanji. And the sleepless nights that we could see and we could know about Maharaj expressing it many times, whenever there is distress, whenever there was problems here and there, and message would come, letters would come for money, for help, for guidance. That night Maharaj never could sleep. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. He used to roll, toss on the bed, occasionally read a book or meditate. And he said the mind is full of that pain of the people. The heart is crying to solve their problems. We could see that in Swami Vivekananda's life, but then personified in Swami Ranganathanji's personality, which all of us can learn and feel for the nation, feel for the downtrodden, and without compromising on the spiritual ideals, etc. And the next thing, last point I would like to share is the spreading of the literature, which all of us should do. And the word he used was very interesting. He said, spread the message of Sri Ramakrishna, spread the message of Swamiji, Holy Mother, and the Upanishads, the Bhagavad-Gita. Spread it fearlessly. The word used is spread it fearlessly. Spread it all over, to an auto driver, to a bus driver, to a conductor, to anybody. Spread the message. And when he was alive, when he was traveling, when he was much younger, say in the 70s, always he used to carry some books of Swamiji in his bag, and then used to give it to the people to read, and to, whether it's a IAS officer or a government official and things like that, he used to spread the message, and he expected us to spread the message through the books and through the other things. Whenever anybody purchases a lot of books, Swamiji's books or the Upanishads or small booklets of Vivekananda, we used to go and tell him, Maharaj, today 100 copies of Call to the Nation or 100 copies of your book were purchased by so and so. He was so thrilled, so excited, like a child. That was his joy, that this much of literature of people will get benefited. Society will be free from delusion and confusion, and the crime rate in India would reduce. So here is the last presentation. I would show it about Maharaja's teachings, which we prepared here for the benefit of the students and others. I think you can watch this beautiful picture of Swamiji, of Reverend Ranganathanji in his own room, and talking to somebody. And here is the first teaching. The message of Srimad Swami Ranganathanji is quite common. This I will skip. And this is all published in the books and in the magazines. And the next quotation is very interesting. I am not alone in the world. We belong to a world. The vast world is around us. We cannot do without it. We cannot become human without a human world around us. How much we owe to the world of other human beings around us. This is the Paraspara Bhavayanta Shreyah Paramavapsita Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina concept, which Maharaj put it into his own beautiful style of English, of understanding. Then efficiency and energy comes from emotion, not from intellectual knowledge, which can only direct that emotional energy. But the real impulse comes from emotion. It makes you work at your best. This is the teaching of Vivekananda. Whenever there's a conflict between the head and the heart, follow the heart. And Swamiji was emphasizing this in his life work. Work hard, perform all duties, develop yourself, then come and surrender to the highest. Do a whole day's honest work, then sit and meditate, then resign yourself to God. Otherwise, that meditation has no meaning or value. Meditation at the end of a lazy day has no meaning, but the same at the end of an active day filled with good deeds has meaning and is rewarding. Then we find a bigger teaching. I'll just go through the next one, which is a little smaller, so that we can listen to the reminiscences and lessons from the other monks. The great new mantra today is work and hard work. Along with hard and intelligent work, cooperative teamwork. All great undertakings are product of teamwork. We can meet the challenge of freedom only when we have learned this character efficiency involved in teamwork and intelligent hard work. This is the philosophy which we have to learn consciously, not unconsciously, somehow stumbling into it. So this is the team spirit, the Sangha Shakti, which the Upanishads and Swami Vivekananda represented, which we can see through Swami Ranganathanji's philosophy, Ranganathanji's life. It is up to us for now to take a resolve on his birthday, on this birth anniversary. 113 years ago, 1908, this great son of Sri Ramakrishna came, our Guru, our Margadarshak. And today we are in last part of 2021. So we have to resolve, not just celebrating like this, that we will fulfill the vision and mission of Raviyat Ranganathanji, which was nothing but Swami Vivekananda, and make our life blessed, our times blessed, and our opportunity to given to us more solid, more happy, and obtain the blessings of the Holy Trinity and Revered Swami Ranganathanji. Namaste to all the devotees. May Sri Ramakrishna and may the spirit of Maharaj bless all of us. Jai Ramakrishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you. Means so much, so much. Every act and life incident that you have shared with us today has such a profound message for each one of us to take, and especially, as you said, imbibe in our lives. Thank you. We now welcome our next speaker, Raviyat Swami Sudhidanji Maharaj, joining us from Advait Ashrama, Mayavati. Namaste, Maharaj. So lovely to see you. Yes, thank you so much. And while I would like to say a few words, we were fearing some network issues because Maharaj is in Mayavati Center right now. So he was very thoughtful and kind to share a recorded message with us, which we will play in a short while. But we are very happy to have your presence today. Yeah, a few words about Maharaj Ji. Maharaj joined Ramakrishna Mutt in the Pune Center in the year 1993, initiated by Raviyat Srimat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. He was ordained into sannyasa in 2003. Maharaj is presently the Adhyaksha of Advait Ashrama Mayavati, which is a unique center, as we all know, envisioned by Swami Vivekananda himself. Advait Ashrama is one of our premier publication centers of Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission. And during 22 years of his seva at the center, Maharaji has been involved greatly in publication of several important books related to Vedanta, Swami Vivekananda and the Holy Trio. Maharaj has been the chief editor of a number of books like The Message of Viveka Chudamani, The Message of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Western Admirers of Sri Ramakrishna and his disciples, Swami Vivekananda as the Turning Point, and Hinduism, the Faith Eternal. His special interest is in philosophies of Vedanta and Yoga, and of course, as we see, in the philosophy of the Holy Trio. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for being with us today. We will now play the message that has been shared with us.
Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dear devotees, I am thankful to the group of devotees led by Premji from Hyderabad, who has accorded this invitation to me to share my observation about most revered Swami Ranganathananda Ji Maharaj, in whose memory this online program is being organized. When I think about Raviyat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj, I am reminded of Bhagwan Shri Shankaracharya's one composition from Viveka Chudamani, where Shankaracharya says, the Sanskrit verse is as follows. He says, Shanta Mahanto Nivasanti Santo Vasantavat Lokahitam Charanta Tirna Swayam Bhiva Bhavarnavam Janan Ahetunan Anyana Pitarayanta. The meaning of these verses, Bhagavan Shankaracharya describes the state of a person who has attained the state of Jivana Mukti, a person who is a living free soul, who has become enlightened. And how is this person? Shankaracharya says, Nivasanti Santo, there are some Shanta Mahanto. Two beautiful words he uses. Mahanto, magnanimous, and Shanta, calm and peaceful. Nivasanti Santo. There are some magnanimous, calm souls. And what do they do in their life? Vasantavat Lokahitam Charanta. They move around like Vasanta Ritu. Just like Vasanta Ritu, when it comes, when the spring season comes, it infuses new life into the nature. Both inanimate as well as the animate world is infused by new energy, a new life. Everything blossoms. Similar is the life of this magnanimous person who moves around for what? Lokahitam Charanta, only for the good of others. And then it says, Tirna Swayam Bhima Bhavarnavam Janan Ahetunan Anyana Pitarayanta. He himself has crossed the dreadful ocean of the samsara. This dreadful ocean of samsara means the cycle of births and deaths. He has crossed this dreadful ocean. And now he is helping others also to cross this dreadful ocean. But what motivates him to do this? Ahetuna, without any selfish motive. So this is the description of a person, of a Mahatma, of a Jivan Mukta, whose life is given to help others, help everyone cross this dreadful ocean of samsara. And wherever he goes, he makes the hearts of people spiritually blossom. This is his characteristic. Whoever comes in touch with that person gets a new direction in his or her life. So when I think about Ranganathanji Maharaj, I often connect him with this observation of Bhagavan Shankaracharya about a Jivan Mukta, a living free soul. I had the good fortune of associating with Maharaj for about 7 years. That is from 1999 to 2005, till he left his mortal coil. In 1999, I passed out from the training center at Belur Math, and that was the year when I was posted to Advaita Ashram to look after the publication department there, to work on the new books which Advaita Ashrama brings out. So after being posted to Advaita Ashram, my first big assignment that came to my lot was to work upon revered Ranganathanji Maharaj's universal message of the Bhagavad-Gita, which came out in 3 volumes. So that manuscript was given to me, and I was supposed to look into it, to make it ready for print. Even before me, two senior sadhus had already gone through it, so the major work had already been done. But there was a need to give it a final touch, and that was my main task. So in the course of looking into the manuscript of this universal message of Bhagavad-Gita of Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj, I had numerous occasions when I could go and meet Maharaj, watch him closely, talk to him, discuss with him, point out the defects or some of the mistakes or some of the chances where we could improve the manuscript. And for all these things, I used to go and meet Maharaj at Belur Math. Maharaj was the president at that time. In 1998, Maharaj had become the president of the Ramakrishna Order. So when the first volume was ready for press, I one day went to Maharaj. And the main intention of this visit was that the text had already gone to the press and it was being printed. And in this visit, I had to finalize certain things regarding the cover, the jacket of this book. So the cover designing had been done, so I had to show the cover design. And I wanted to know from the Maharaj that what should be the text that should be put on the backside of the first volume. So I went to Maharaj with this question that, Maharaj, what should be the text that should be put on the backside of this first volume? So the first thing Maharaj said was, see, you should put Sri Ramakrishna's one observation about Bhagavad-Gita. Sri Ramakrishna's observation of the Bhagavad-Gita is there in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and he immediately asked his sevak to bring the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and he turned the pages. He turned the pages and he came to one particular page and he showed it to me. You see this conversation here. Sri Ramakrishna is asking Master Maharaj, do you read Bhagavad-Gita? And the Master Maharaj says, yes, I read Bhagavad-Gita. Then Sri Ramakrishna makes an observation. He says, Bhagavad-Gita is the essence of all scriptures. So this is Sri Ramakrishna's observation about Bhagavad-Gita. And Ranganathanji Maharaj says that this should be put on the backside of this book. This will be the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna for this book. And that he stressed. And at the same time he said, you should not put Sri Ramakrishna's photograph here. No photograph. Only his words. His idea should be there. I don't want Sri Ramakrishna's photograph. But Sri Ramakrishna's, these observations on the Bhagavad-Gita will be like an anugraha, Sri Ramakrishna's blessings for this book. I want Sri Ramakrishna's statement to be on the backside of this book. So in this we can see how paramount was Sri Ramakrishna's blessings for Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj in every venture that he undertook. His close and very intimate connection with Sri Ramakrishna, this could be very clearly seen in and through this incident. Now the next question which I put forth to him was, Maharaj, which is the most important shloka of the Bhagavad-Gita? If you tell me, in your observation, the most important shloka of the Bhagavad-Gita, I would like to put that shloka also on the backside of this cover. So Ranganathanji Maharaj just thought for a while and then he said, the 25th verse of the 3rd chapter of the Gita is the most important verse of the Bhagavad-Gita. I was very much surprised because I myself have been a student of Bhagavad-Gita for many years, right from the day I joined this holy organization. And in my studies and in my reading of the Bhagavad-Gita, never did I assign such a special importance to this verse which Maharaj was referring to. Now, which is this verse that Maharaj was referring to? In the 3rd chapter, in the 25th verse says, Sakta karmanya vidvanso yatha kurvanti bharata Kuryad vidvans tatha sakta chikirshur lokasangraham. What does this verse state? Bhagavan Krishna says that sakta karmani avidvan, the avidvan or the unenlightened person, how does this unenlightened person work? He works with deep attachment to his wife, his husband, children, money, position, to so many things of the world. Whatever he does with deep attachment. This is the characteristic of the so-called the worldly or the ignorant or the unenlightened person. Spiritually ignorant and spiritually unenlightened person. So the verse says, Sakta karmani avidvanso yatha kurvanti. Just like the unenlightened person works with deep attachment, the wise person should also work in the same manner. Kuryat vidvans tatha asakta. The wise person should also work with the same intensity but without attachment. Then the last portion comes, the most important portion. But why? Why does this wise person work in this manner without attachment? The purpose, the motive is lokasangraham. What does this term lokasangraham mean? It's a very important concept. The lokasangraham, Bhagwan Shankaracharya comments, what is this lokasangraham? Lokasya unmarga pravritti nivaranam. Lokasya unmarga pravritti nivaranam. To prevent people going astray or to prevent people going on the wrong direction of life. To put it in another words, we can say to inspire people to walk on the path of spirituality, which is the right marga. So the wise man should also work with the same intensity, the kind of intensity which we find in the unenlightened person. With the same intensity, the wise man also works, but he works for what? To help the human race, to help the human beings everywhere to walk on the path of spirituality. And he does this without any attachment to anything. So this is the characteristic of a great person. This is the characteristic of an enlightened person. This is the characteristic of a living free soul. Just like Bhagwan Shankaracharya said in the Vivek Chudamani, which I referred to before, that there are some magnanimous, calm people who are living free and whose only purpose in life is like Vasantavat Lokahitam Charanta. And Bhagavad-Gita's this verse, the 25th verse of the 3rd chapter, beautifully captures this idea of a living free soul working intensely with only one intention, and that intention is to help everywhere human beings to walk on the path of spirituality. Now, when I heard this from Maharaj, it was really a very big lesson. I, in my life, had never assigned such importance to this verse. And I realized that this is all the metaphysical things which we study, the theoretical things which we study, ultimately it should boil down to life. How are we going to live in this world? What should be the motive behind our actions? The wise person's actions. It should be Loka Sangraham. And Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj's life was completely given to this one idea of Loka Sangraham. We all know that. What a great life he lived. A life which was completely given to this one work of showing the right path to the entire human race. Wherever he went, whether in India or abroad, whichever part of the globe he went, his only one passion, one concern was to show to the human beings which is the right path, the spiritual path, which will take us beyond this dreadful ocean of samsara. So this is the role of a great guru. So Ranganathanji Maharaj's this one observation about the most important verse of the Gita was a great eye-opener for me, personally speaking. Since that day, I have learned to look at this verse with great interest, and I see how much of the whole philosophy and life is packed in this one single verse of the Bhagavad-Gita. And Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj was a perfect representation of this idea of Chikirshu Lokasangraham, that intending to bring the human beings on the right path, a wise man is working with deep intensity and passion. That was Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj's life. So this was the one thing which I learned from Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj's, one of the things which I learned in one of these associations with him. So this is one thing which I wanted to share with all of you, and I thank Premji and the group of devotees from Hyderabad for having invited me to this program. And I'm sure that by remembering Maharaj, we all will be inspired to walk on the right path of spiritual enlightenment, and may his blessings and the blessings of Thakur, Ma and Swamiji be on all the devotees. Thank you.
I do not know how it got ended, but then I was still looking forward to hearing more. Thank you so much, Maharaj. I think we will have another opportunity where we should be able to give more time and hear from each one of the speakers today. Thank you so much. We would now, there are two more speakers, dear devotees, friends. Kindly stay on, and we regret the trouble to the next two speakers. But yeah, I would now welcome the next speaker, Raviyat Swami Shitikandanji Maharaj from Hyderabad Center. Would like to say a few words as if we can check. Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Pranam. Pranam, Maharaj. Inspired by Swami Vivekananda's life and message that service to man is service to God, Swamiji joined the order in the year 1997 in our own Hyderabad Center, and continues to be in the center even after his Sannyasa Diksha in the year 2006. Swamiji is now the director of Institute of Languages. Highly well read, Swamiji has a very deep understanding of the scriptures, Upanishads, and Vedantic philosophy. Maharaj continues to be a constant source of inspiration and guidance to various devotee groups, volunteering organizations, conducts a lot of regular programs, cultural and spreading the spiritual ethos of India, and application of the Vedantic philosophies in day-to-day life. Fondly known as Mohan Maharaj. We're very happy to see you, Maharaj, today. Thank you so much for being a part of this satsang. We now request you to deliver the message. Thank you.
My humble pranams to the Holy Trio. My respectable pranams to Puja Gurudev, Srimat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. My humble pranams to Swami Nityastanji Maharaj, Swami Satyalokanji Maharaj, Swami Bodhamayanji Maharaj, and my namaskars to my brother monk, Rajiv Maharaj, and my namaskars and salutations to all the devotees who are part of this satsang today. So I consider myself very fortunate to have heard some of the beautiful reminiscences of all the senior Swamijis who spoke before me. I joined in Hyderabad Math in 1997, February 1997. Revered Maharaj was here in Hyderabad till September 1998. I had the good fortune of staying with Maharaj for 1.5 years. During that period, I observed Maharaj very closely and derived so much of inspiration from my spiritual life. I won't be able to express all that in words. I consider it as the good fortune of my life to have lived even for that brief period with a spiritual stalwart like Revered Maharaj. As Nityasanji Maharaj said, Revered Maharaj was a man of colossal intellect and heart. Some of my reminiscences I wrote in the book Monk Without Frontiers, but still I would like to share one of the reminiscences that I mentioned there. Immediately after joining, I had an attack of herpes zoster. My head was swollen like a pumpkin. So, it is a very contagious viral infection, and nobody was allowed to come to my room, and I was not also allowed to go anywhere, to come out of my room. Maharaj came to know that I was affected with this virus. And after 4 or 5 days of that infection, my head was still, I think, swollen. Maharaj was going somewhere, and Maharaj inquired about me. Though Maharaj Sevaks told Maharaj not to come to my room because this virus is highly contagious, Revered Maharaj came, he touched my head, and then he said, "You will become all right very soon," and left for some place for giving initiation. So as Satyalokanji Maharaj had told, it was a mark of joy. When Maharaj was here, a festive atmosphere used to prevail. We used to feel that everyday festival. So much of joy, so much of festivity around. He was an unconditioned mind, a sage, modern Rishi. In my opinion, Maharaj was practical Vedanta personified. So if you want to know what is practical Vedanta, how to put Vedantic principles into practice, because Maharaj was a living embodiment of that. And whatever he had preached, he had practiced. And Maharaj used to say, most of us, we all know that, see, I have Vivekananda capsules in my blood. People generally have 2 kinds of capsules, WBC and RBC. But I have VBC also. What is VBC? Vivekananda capsules, blood capsules. Maharaj has read complete works perhaps some 40 to 50 times, particularly letters of Swamiji and lectures from Colombo to Almora. How many times Maharaj has read, we don't know. But some of the paragraphs, Maharaj used to quote verbatim. And also Maharaj used to ask the devotees who would come for initiation to read these 2 books. We used to wonder, Maharaj actually should have suggested books like Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and other philosophical teachings of Swamiji and Holy Mother and Thakur. But Maharaj used to insist that you must read these 2 books. So probably unselfishness and patriotism, Maharaj considers more important before actually people can aspire for spiritual realization. That's why he would ask them actually to read these 2 books also. In fact, Revered Maharaj, a Rishi, modern Rishi, according to our scriptures, a Rishi is he who is irresistible. I have heard one of Revered Maharaj Sevaks told me this, that before affiliation of Vijayawada and Kadapa centers, the Maharaj initiative, there was some resistance in the headquarters at that particular point of time, as there were not enough Telugu monks. And the then General Secretary Maharaja was a bit reluctant to give affiliation. And at trustees meetings, Maharaj insisted, and he said, "What is the problem?" So, he had a line voice, and Maharaj says, "What is the problem?" Then nobody would be able to resist. It must be done. That it must be done. Nobody would, even if they would try to resist and say no, they would not be able to. Actually, because Rishi is irresistible in that way. So Maharaj used to write in all his letters, in the end, "I convey my blessings to you." Generally, other monks, revered monks, and Vice President Maharaj also, they say that we will pray for the blessings of Holy Trio upon you. But Maharaj would say, I convey my blessings to you. So his eye is such a ripe eye. It's not actually, like any kind of immature eye. But he kept it and used it, though he has gone beyond the eye, to do good to the world and to the society. I convey my blessings. It means Sri Ramakrishna was manifesting through him, acting through him. He had that feeling. He was experiencing that divinity in him. That's why he could say with that much of conviction that I convey my blessings to you. As all the great Swamijis said, shared some of the beautiful reminiscences of Maharaj with us today. I used to wonder whether Maharaj would get angry at any time. Because when you say that somebody is practicing Vedanta, he or she should conquer this. And how Maharaj would scold, I was a bit curious. And in fact, Maharaj had scolded me also. I had the good fortune of receiving that scolding. The scolding also was a kind of blessing. Because I was in bookstall for 1.5 years. And Maharaj would ask the devotees and the people who would come from other countries to purchase certain books of his and also other Vedanta books. So the then president of Hyderabad Mutt, I had to take permission to place order for any books, the bookstall. That Maharaj was a bit conservative, and he would see whether the book was moving fast or not. Otherwise, he would not allow me to place the order. But I used to ask him, but Maharaj was asking Maharaj all the books of Maharaj I would like to place order. Now, sometimes you wait actually, let 4 or 5 titles get exhausted, then we would place order. But in the meanwhile, Maharaj would send somebody, go and purchase that book of mine. And the devotee would come to the bookstall and the book was not there. He would go and tell Maharaj. One day Maharaj himself had come to the bookstall for a book, for one book of his. It was not there. Then Maharaj had scolded me, hopeless. That was the scolding I had received from Maharaj. Thereafter, actually, I told then Mahanta Maharaj, no, Maharaj, so you must allow me to place order for all those books. I will place order for small quantity. As soon as the quantity gets exhausted, again, actually, we would place order. So I could take his consent like that. As Swami Bodhamayanji Maharaj had told, Maharaj was very fond of spreading the message through literature. How many books are sold? What is today's sale? Every day he used to ask. Today he used to ask, call that bookstall brahmachari. And what is the sale today? How many complete works are sold? How many copies of Life of Swamiji are sold? Maharaj would ask like this. So fond of literature. And if I said that Maharaj today there's a good sale, and he would be so happy, he would be so pleased to hear that. A kind of joy on his face you would see. Maharaj would go to different places to give initiation, even at that advanced age. And when he would come back to the matter, some small throat infection would be there. Maharaj would be coughing. We all would go into his room to make pranams. And Maharaj would inquire everybody, how are you? Are you keeping well? Maharaj himself was not doing well because he had some throat infection. He was coughing. But still he would ask every one of us, how are you? Are you keeping well? So that kind of self-sacrifice, never caring for his own comfort, always concerned about the welfare of others, and that unconditional love. Swami Sudhidanji Maharaj, the present head of Rajamandri Center, used to bring poor villagers from Giddaluru, it's in Ongole districts, very simple people. Most of them are illiterates, but they have heard of Sri Ramakrishna. They constructed beautiful temple in their villages. And those villagers used to come for initiation. Maharaj would initiate them and would feed them with such joy. And he would instruct all the Swamis to take care of them well and to feed them well. I mean, the concern that he had, that humanistic feeling and empathy for the poor and the downtrodden. And also, his room door would never be bolted from inside. Always the room was open. Anybody could walk into his room at any time, even at that advanced age. So sometimes it would be, very taxing for Maharaj. Whole morning he had talked to different visitors. But afternoon he really needed some rest, but still he would not bolt it from within. The sevaks actually would restrict the entry of devotees, but Maharaj would never keep the door closed from within. So that is the kind of self-sacrifice that Maharaj had demonstrated. In fact, a great embodiment of practical Vedanta. And personally, I have derived immense inspiration from the teachings of Maharaj and also in the life and the personality traits that Maharaj had displayed, the virtues that he had displayed, a source of great inspiration for me. And I consider that as the greatest good fortune of my life to come in contact with a great personality like Raviyat Maharaj. And I also had a little opportunity to offer a little of personal service to him after my initiation. In fact, when I joined, I was not initiated before, and Swami Paramarthanji, president of the Mutt, took me to Maharaj's room and told, this boy actually has not been initiated to Maharaj, he wants to go to Belur Mutt. So there it will take 1 year for him to get initiation. Would you like to initiate him? And where Maharaj had asked me. So there were not many brahmacharis, 1 or 2 brahmacharis only were there that time in Hyderabad Mutt. Now you want to go to Belur Mutt, you can join here. Will your parents object? Will they come and trouble you? Then I said, Maharaj, no. I had informed them, had convinced them. They might not trouble me even if I join here. Then Maharaj said, then you stay back. And on a Shivratri day, Maharaj had given initiation to me alone. That was the blessing that he had conferred on me. I consider it actually another great blessing of my life. And so with these few reminiscences of Maharaj, I would like to close, and I would like to thank Premji for giving me this beautiful opportunity. And in fact, I have derived a lot of inspiration from all the great monks, my senior Swamijis, respected Swamijis who have spoken before me. Some new insights into Raviyat Maharaj's life I could get. So I consider all the devotees also, the best way to pay a tribute to remember Maharaj is to put his teachings into practice. Let us all strive, let us all endeavor as best as we can to translate Maharaj's teachings into action. So I pray to Holy Trio that they might shower their choicest blessings on all of us, and also to Raviyat Maharaj that he might give us his blessings as well. Jai Shri Ram Krishna.
No words to say, Maharaj, what that message means to all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Dear devotees, we request you to continue to stay. There is we now come to the final speaker of the day, not in any specific order, but being the junior most Swami amongst the speakers today, Raviyat Swami Kirti Pradhananji Maharaj. Fondly known as Rajiv Maharaj. We want to know if we can see Maharaj. Yes. Pranav Maharaj. Namaste.
Am I audible?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, we can hear you now. Yeah. Fondly known as Rajiv Maharaj, Swamiji was initiated by Raviyat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj in the year 1991. Swamiji joined the order in 2004 and has served in the value education cell of headquarters, Ramakrishna Vivekananda Evening College in Mylapore, and has been with Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda University since 2005. And Maharaj is currently the registrar of the prestigious institution since 2018. Maharaj, we request you, and it is little delayed, but we request you to deliver your message. Thank you.
Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharma swarupini avatara varisthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. At the outset, I offer my respectful pranams to the previous speakers, Raviyat Swamis Nityasthananji Maharaj, Satyalokananji Maharaj, Bodhamayananji Maharaj, Sudhidanji Maharaj, and Shitikandanji Maharaj, who have so beautifully shared their reminiscences of revered Srimat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj in today's program. My pranams to all the monastic members participating in this online meeting. My loving namaskars to all the devotees who are with us today when we have come together in the virtual mode to remember our beloved and revered Maharaj on his 113th birth anniversary. Well, honestly speaking, I feel too insignificant a person and out of place to talk anything about such a spiritually gigantic and towering personality of the stature of Raviyat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. Or Prem Kumarji insisted me that since I had the blessed association with Raviyat Maharaj for quite some time, so I should share my reminiscences with all. So I take this opportunity to share with you all what I have learned at the holy feet of Raviyat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. I had the blessed opportunity to see Raviyat Maharaj from very close quarters. I received my initiation from Maharaj in May 1991 at the Hyderabad Mutt. Then from 91 onwards, first as a school student and later as a college student, I used to visit Hyderabad from Jaipur twice every year, once during the summer vacation and once during the winter break, and stay at his holy feet. Then immediately after completing my graduation in August 1995, I stayed as a monastic inmate also at the Hyderabad Mutt for a brief period for about 2 years. I could not then continue at Hyderabad for some reasons, and I pursued with my higher studies, and after completing which I joined at Belur Mutt in the year 2004. Today, when I look back, I feel elated and nostalgic to think of those golden days of my spiritual infancy, which was spent in the loving care and guidance of Raviyat Maharaj. By the grace of the Almighty, I had the opportunity of being in close proximity to him and have his blessed association for a few years. A few incidents and anecdotes during those days have left an everlasting impression in my mind. So let me begin my reminiscences by narrating a seemingly ordinary incident which turned out to be very important for me. I was then studying in the 12th standard at Jaipur. At that time, one evening in October 1991, after the evening Aarti, two devotees from Holland, a young boy who was a little elder to me, by name Hans Calderman, and his mother, both initiated by Raviyat Maharaj, they visited the Jaipur ashrama. They had a letter of introduction from Raviyat Ranganathanji Maharaj, which was addressed to all the heads of centers in India, stating that both of them have come from Holland and they wish to visit some holy places in India, and all the heads of centers are requested to help them in every possible way. Now that day what happened, the head Swamiji of the Jaipur ashram was out of station. And the second in command Swamiji was not able to decide what to do because there was no facility of guest accommodation in the ashrama. So he then told me, you ask your mother if they can be our guests for 3 days. So my mother happily agreed. In fact, both of my parents are initiated devotees. They have taken initiation from Raviyat Swami Nirvanananji Maharaj. So they were more than happy to invite Thakur's devotees. So both of them stayed at our home and I showed them the places to be seen in Jaipur. During their stay with us, we talked on various subjects and Hans narrated many anecdotes of Raviyat Ranganathanji Maharaj when he used to visit Holland. During the course of our discussion, Hans told me one thing that was of immense significance to me. He said that he had done his schooling in India staying at Hyderabad, and Raviyat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj was his local guardian. As a special case, he allowed him to stay in the monastic quarters. So he said, next time when you visit Hyderabad, you can also request Maharaj to be accommodated in the monastic quarters itself. Then you can meet him more frequently. If you don't say anything, they will put you in the guest house. Since Maharaj, like young boys, chances are that he may allow you in the monastic quarters itself. So I kept this in my mind. So in April 92, as soon as my class 12th board exams were over, I went to Hyderabad with an intention to stay near Maharaj's holy feet for about 3 weeks. That time, Ranganathanji Maharaj himself was the president of the Hyderabad Mutt, as well as the vice president of the entire order. So after reaching the Hyderabad Mutt, I went and made pranams to Maharaj. After making preliminary inquiries about my journey, about my parents and sister, Maharaj asked, okay, have a nice time here. Your room is arranged in the guest house. With folded hands, I said, Maharaj, if you kindly allow, I would like to stay in the monastic quarters. Maharaj said, the rooms in the guest house are comfortable. You must stay there itself. Then as an obstinate child, I said, no, Maharaj, I will stay here only. Then Maharaj gave me a good hard look from top to bottom and then nodded his head and said, all right, go and wait in the visitor's room and send Bhandari Maharaj to me. So I did accordingly. In no time, Bhandari Maharaj arranged the room in the monks' quarter itself. and I was accommodated there. Then again next year in 93, again I wrote from Jaipur about my plans to visit Hyderabad. This time, Raviyat Maharaj had relinquished the presidentship of Hyderabad Mutt, and Swami Ananyananji Maharaj was the new president. So the reply to my letter came from Ananyananji Maharaj. A beautiful letter he wrote. Revered Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj has given the green signal to your Hyderabad visit, and you may come as planned and stay with us in the monastic quarters. So that opened the floodgates for me. So from 92 to 95, I used to visit Maharaj twice a year and was accommodated in the monastic quarters only. For all practical purposes, I was considered as a monastic inmate, with the exception to attend the reading class which took place after dinner. So let me narrate here some incidents of that period worth mentioning. First, I will narrate an incident which reflects Maharaj's humanitarian side and the love and concern which he had for our nation. This happened in 92 or 93, when I got a chance to accompany him for an evening walk. During the half-an-hour walk, I got to discuss with him many topics, both spiritual and secular, and asked him many questions, which patiently Maharaj answered. Then, after a brief moment of pause, on his own, Maharaj started a new topic for discussion. In a very grave tone, Maharaj said, "The union budget is to be passed at the earliest. What are they doing? The economy will suffer if it continues like this." I could not make sense of what he was saying, and I gave just a blank look. I could not relate anything. What is it to Maharaj if the union budget is not passed? Then Maharaj himself elaborated the matter. Maharaj said, "See, there is no stable government in the center." Let me remind you, this was the time when there was an air of uncertainty in the Indian politics at the national level. We had unstable governments at the center, and within a span of 1 year, we had 3 prime ministers in quick succession: Rajiv Gandhi, Vishwanath Pratap Singh, and Chandrasekhar. As a result, the union budget could not be passed because of the flux. Now, coming back to Maharaj, Maharaj said, "See, the image of India is spoilt abroad. Global credit rating agencies, they have downgraded India from the investment grade, and now we may struggle to even get short-term loans to get things going. The World Bank, the IMF, they have stopped their assistance. If the budget is not passed, the economy will suffer badly." I was wonderstruck with the clarity of his understanding of even such secular matters of politics and economics, and also how his heart felt for our nation. In fact, I feel our policymakers and those who are in helm of affairs of running the government, if they have even 1% of such a far sight and heart to feel, in no time we will progress rapidly as a nation. I now come to another incident, which shows how great people optimize the time available. After joining the Hyderabad Mutt, I was allotted the duties of doing puja. It was Durga Puja time of 1995. It was the Saptami day. Raviyat Maharaj had just returned from a trip to Bangalore, and he returned in the evening. On his return, all sadhus and brahmacharis made pranams to him. I was delayed a bit as I had some work in the shrine. So when I went to make pranams to his room, he was alone. It was 8 p.m. Maharaj inquired about my well-being, among other things. Then unexpectedly, Maharaj asked, "Did you make pranams to Mother Durga there?" There, meaning at the Durga Puja Pandal of the Bengali Samiti, which was just adjacent to the Mutt compound. There they performed Durga Puja in image. I said, "No, Maharaj, I have not gone there yet." Then Maharaj said, "Why? You have not gone there? Would you go right now? You have time now." I said, "Maharaj, it's already 8 o'clock and I have to close the shrine at 8:30. So should I go tomorrow?" Then Maharaj had a look at his wristwatch and said, "Well, it is 8 now. If you start immediately, it will take 5 minutes for going, 5 minutes praying to Mother, and 5 minutes for coming back. By 8:15 or maximum 8:20, you are back. Still, you will be having at least 10 minutes at your disposal." Now, it never occurred to me the way Maharaj had thought of, broken each phase of activity, and made me understand that in that limited time, this could certainly be done. So I went with another brahmachari and did exactly as Maharaj had said. Later on, I realized this is what practical time management is all about. It is such training of mind as to make the best of each minute and optimize the time available, which distinguishes great people from others. Another incident comes to my mind. Great people always do not do extraordinary things, but they always do even ordinary things in extraordinary way. One day I was returning after closing the shrine in the night, and as I was passing through the corridor in front of Maharaj's room, suddenly there was a power failure and everything was dark. Maharaj was alone in his room. I thought it will be good if I light a candle till the power comes. As I entered his room and asked Maharaj, Maharaj, should I light a candle? Maharaj said, no, candle is not required. You bring out that emergency light from the shelf and you put it on. So I brought out that emergency lamp from the shelf and switched it on. Then Maharaj said, okay, now you go and have your prasad. So I proceeded to the dining hall. I was midway through the meal when the power was restored. After a few minutes of the restoration of power, to my surprise, I heard the voice of Maharaj standing outside the dining hall and asking the cook, has Raji finished his food? Now, hearing his voice, I immediately rushed out. The moment I came out, I saw a scene which I could not have imagined even in my dreams. Maharaj came all the way from his room to the dining hall, carrying the emergency lamp himself, which was still glowing. Lifting the emergency lamp, he said, now power has come, but I could not switch it off. Can you put it off? I immediately switched it off. Like a child, Maharaj said, I tried to put it off, but it did not go off. First, I pushed the switch to the left side. It started to glow. Then I pushed to the right. Another light was glowing. I then said, Maharaj, the switch when put in the center will put off the light. He humorously said, you know so much. Then I requested Maharaj, Maharaj, may I carry it back to your room? Maharaj said, no, you go and finish your meals. Anyway, I have to return to my room and this one is very light. I can carry myself. I was enamored by Maharaj's action. On one hand, he did not want the emergency lamp to glow unnecessarily after the power was restored. On the other hand, he did not consider any work to be insignificant and absolutely did not care for any sort of hierarchy, protocol, formality, etc. Imagine, he himself carried it on his own and came all the way from his room to the dining hall. Let me narrate another great quality I saw in Maharaj. In our scriptures, aparigraha is considered to be a great virtue. Aparigraha means one should possess only that much things which are necessary. One should not unnecessarily go on hoarding things. Maharaj's life was a burning example of this. There was a constant flow of expensive gifts coming to Maharaj. But Maharaj never used to keep anything for his personal use. No sooner any article came, he would dispose it off by presenting it to somebody. On one such occasion, I happened to be one of the beneficiaries. Once, someone presented Maharaj with an expensive pocket watch, a golden one, with a chain attached to it. You can attach the chain and put the watch in the pocket. Perhaps he was thinking how to dispose that watch. At that moment, I went to his room for some purpose. Maharaj asked me, do you have a watch? I said, yes, Maharaj. Then he said, will you mind to accept if I give you one? Before I could answer anything, he asked Sudarshan Maharaj to bring out that golden watch. He himself opened it from the case and showed it how it functions, how to wind it, all those things he showed me. That watch is with me till date, but not once I have used it for seeing the time. It remains with me as a blessed souvenir, bearing the holy touch of Raviyat Maharaj. So in Maharaj's life, I had direct experience of the burning example of aparigraha. Now I am reminded of another incident. Regarding the power of concentration, Swami Vivekananda said, the difference in power of concentration between two persons also constitutes the difference between a person and another person. I saw whatever Maharaj used to do, he would do it with amazing one-pointedness and concentration. One incident I would like to narrate here that took place in 96, 97. I was then looking after the book sales section. Maharaj had asked for the reprint of 1,000 copies of his book, Science and Religion. As the order was about to be given to the printer, it was discovered that about 3,000 copies or so of the older edition of the same book, they're already lying in the godown, and somehow no one noticed it, and the stock had not been opened for years together. So I opened that bundle, and I took a copy of that book from that lot, and I carried it to Maharaj just to affirm that it's the same book which he wanted to reprint. Maharaj went through the book, but in the book, he found out half a dozen typographical errors in that particular edition. He then said, no need to print afresh. These errors can be corrected by hand, and then the books can be put for sales. So he entrusted me with the job to get the typographical errors corrected by hand in all the 3,000 copies with the help of a group of volunteers. Then he said, show me one of the corrected copies before putting it for the sales. Now a group of volunteers were put on this job, and within a week or so, the job was done. I then took one of the copies post manual correction to get his approval. As I entered his room, I found he was reading something very attentively and focused. I stood quietly in front of him for some time, hoping to attract his attention. I stood there near him for a considerable time, but was not able to attract Maharaj's attention. He was immersed in his reading. Then I tried to make my presence felt by saying, Maharaj. He could not hear my voice. Then I repeated it 3 to 4 times, fairly louder, barely 2 to 3 feet away from him. Still, Maharaj was so engrossed in his reading, he was not able to hear me. Such was his immense concentration and one-pointedness. It was only after I touched his feet to attract his attention that he looked towards me, and then he saw the book and gave the green signal to go ahead with that. I am reminded once he told me, whatever you do, do with all your might. Things that are done in halves are never done right. In this incident, I saw the way Maharaj used to practice this in his practical life. Now, finally, I would share with you some light-hearted moments with Maharaj. In October 1995, I had an appendicitis operation. So after a few days, once on a Tithi Puja day of one of the direct disciples of Thakur, all monastics went to make pranams to Maharaj before the breakfast. So when my turn came, I also made pranams. Seeing me, he made a very short comment, core book only. I could not make the head and tail of the statement. Then Maharaj smiled and said, from now onwards, you are only core book, no appendix attached. On another occasion, he jokingly told me, your Madhya Pradesh is expanding, put a check on it. Swamiji said expansion is life, but don't implement it in the physical sense. Then he said, have you heard the story of Naba of Dhaka? I said, no, Maharaj. Then Maharaj narrated a very humorous story in a very interesting way. He said, the Nawab of Dhaka had a big round pot belly. So whenever he used to go out on the road, the children and the urchins, they would hide behind a big tree and tease him, saying, Ke jache, pet jache, kar pet, Nawab Sahaber pet, Nawab Sahab kothai, ek furlong pichone, which means, Ke jache, who is going? Belly is going. Whose belly? Belly of Nawab Sahab. Where is Nawab Sahab? Nawab Sahab is 1 furlong behind. So don't be like this Nawab of Dhaka. So like that, Maharaj used to share many humorous incidents also. So those were the few anecdotes connected with Raviyat Maharaj at the Hyderabad Mutt. After the Mahasamadhi of Raviyat Swami Bhuteshananji Maharaj, Raviyat Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj became the 13th president of the order, and he shifted to Hyderabad from the headquarters at Belur Mutt in the latter half of 1998. I had occasions to meet Maharaj at Belur Mutt also, but those were very few and short. after becoming the president of the order, he was not that freely accessible as he was at Hyderabad Mutt. My last face-to-face meeting with Maharaj was on 15th April 2005, just 10 days before his passing away. I joined the Belur Mutt in January 2004. So as per the mission's rule, after 15 months of joining, I had my first mundana, that is head shave, when I was accepted as the probationer. So on that occasion, I made pranams to Maharaj and received his blessings. He was not keeping well then and had to visit the hospital for checkup and treatment quite often. So then on the 25th of April in the afternoon, we all heard the news that Raviyat Maharaj has attained Mahasamadhi. So being at Belur Mutt, I was present there during his cremation ceremony also. So remembering these old associations with Maharaj today, I experienced as if I was reliving those blessed events. I thank the organizers, Prem Kumarji and our Hyderabad Mutt for hosting this online satsang. I pray that Raviyat Maharaj keeps us inspiring the future as well, and we all march ahead in our pursuit of excellence. Thank you all. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. It was definitely reliving those days in Hyderabad Mutt when Maharaj was here. Thank you. I know it is very late for Swami, especially for the noon prasad. We do have a couple of announcements. We've come to the end of the speaker session. Now, I cannot conclude the speaker session without offering my humble pranams to our Adhyaksha Maharaj of Hyderabad, Most Revered Swami Gyandanji Maharaj, for his continuous support and guidance and being a constant source of inspiration and guidance to all our activities. We offer our pranams, Maharaj, to you. The announcement coming up is, I'm sure you will all be very, very delighted to hear and see about them. Just 2 minutes more. And while this is happening, we've requested everybody to share your contact number so that we can continue to stay in touch with you. And there are more upcoming programs that will be organized. We all have heard, seen, and read about the book, My Life is My Work. And many of us might also have a copy of it. This book actually was published in the year 2006 as a living legacy and tribute to Srimad Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. This book is an autobiography with pictures of Maharaj throughout his life and a collection of his teachings. Sri Surya Reddy Garu, who is an ardent devout disciple of Maharaj, was actually the main source behind bringing this book. It was very highly subsidized printing and had limited stock at that point in time. But we're very happy to announce that this book is now being reprinted by Ramakrishna Mutt Hyderabad, and the second edition will be available shortly. Please do contact us for more information because we are trying our best to get more numbers printed. And if someone would like to do a pre-booking, you can contact us here. It will be shortly available, maybe in a month or maximum 2. And we will, that is the reason we are requesting everybody for your contact information so that we can share information. It is just a replica of Maharajji's life and teachings. So with that announcement, we will quickly share another announcement today. We are happy, very, very happy to share that a trust has been formed in the name of Maharaj. I would just like to bring the next slide. The trust, yes, the trust is formed in the name of Srimat Swami Ranganathananda Foundation Charitable Trust in Hyderabad. It was formed this year on 23rd August. Coincidentally, it happened to be Onam festival as well. The founder member being Prem Kumarji. Some of the core objectives of this trust are going to be supporting education, scholarships and awards, provide medical assistance, revive literature and translations, collaborate with cultural and spiritual groups, and do the good side of what Maharaj always taught us. The trust will be organizing nationwide contests and programs at least every quarter, and we would like to share more information about this trust as well. We are inviting life members to join this and also inviting advisory board members who can guide us and expanding the message and of life and teachings, basically. There is no personal hidden motive behind this, and we can talk about it whenever you reach out to us. So we're inviting like-minded people to support us with this endeavor. So with this, we come to the conclusion of the program. We invite your comments and suggestions. I would like to request if any of the Maharajis have anything to say before we conclude. You can ask if Premji wants to say something. Okay, we can now conclude. The program has come to a conclusion. I cannot express the joy and the blessings that were liberated during this program today. We once again thank all the Swamijis and especially devotees for making this a memorable day. Sarvam Shri Ram Arpanamastu. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Premji. Happy to see you healthy.
I thank all revered Swamijis with humble pranams for their participation in this online satsang, remembering Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj, who is the one who gave me a new lease of life. I thank one and all participants. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, once again. Thank you.
शरणे प्रभु कृपा हि केवलं कृपा हि केवलं कृपा हि केवलं शरणे प्रभु राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं शरणे शरणागतोऽहं 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 शरणे शरणागतोऽहं 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 शरणे प्रभु राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं शरणे नमो श्री गुरवे नमो श्री गुरवे नमो श्री गुरवे नमो 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 श्री गुरवे नमो श्री गुरवे नमो श्री गुरवे नमो नमो प्रभु राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं राम कृष्ण शरणं शरणे राम कृष्ण जय जय राम कृष्ण जय जय राम कृष्ण Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharane Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharane Prabhu Kripa hi Kevalam Sharane Prabhu Kripa hi Kevalam Sharane Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharane Sharanagatoham
Thank you, everybody.